Ever had one of those days when the power goes out and suddenly your house feels like a cave? No lights, no gadgets, not even a warm cup of coffee unless you're brave enough to strike a match and figure out how that dusty camping stove works. Now, imagine living that way every single day. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. That's the Amish for you. While the rest of us are fumbling in the dark, they're calmly going about their business, unaffected by blackouts, blinking routers, or the dreaded low battery warning. It's like they cracked a code the rest of us missed, and the best part? They make it look easy. The Amish aren't just surviving without electricity, they're thriving. And no, it's not some mystical force keeping things running smoothly. It's clever, intentional ways they've developed over generations. While we might rely on smart thermostats to stay warm or electric ovens to cook dinner, the Amish have a whole toolkit of solutions that work just as well, if not better. Ever tried flipping a light switch after sunset only to remember that the bulb doesn't work because the power's out? Meanwhile, the Amish are sitting down to a candlelit dinner without missing a beat. They've been doing this for centuries, and they're not in any hurry to change. Makes you wonder who's really got it figured out, right? Their choices might seem old-fashioned at first glance, but there's a kind of wisdom and simplicity. It's not about avoiding technology just for the sake of it. It's about deciding what's necessary and what isn't. You won't find the Amish endlessly scrolling social media or battling Wi-Fi dead zones, but you will find them living comfortably in ways most of us have long forgotten. When you think of the Amish, solar panels aren't exactly what comes to mind. Yet some Amish communities have embraced solar energy in a way that fits perfectly with their values: simple, practical, and with no excess. You won't find them charging phones or running electric mixers, but those panels quietly power essential things like lights, fans, or even sewing machines for quilt making. They found a sweet spot, using just what they need without overindulgence. Solar energy has exploded worldwide, growing over 40% in the past decade, and the Amish are quietly riding that wave. They set up panels on rooftops and barns, carefully positioning them to catch the most sunlight, just like they do everything else, with thought and intention. And if they generate a little extra power, they share it within the community, the way you'd lend a cup of sugar. Only this time, it's a bit of power for the evening. I learned the importance of solar the hard way during a camping trip. I forgot to leave our solar lanterns out during the day, and by nightfall we were tripping over firewood in the dark. The Amish, on the other hand, get it right every time. No gadgets, just sunlight doing its thing. They've mastered balance, taking just enough from the modern world to meet their needs, while the rest of us struggle to manage smart homes. And just wait, because if the wind picks up, they've got another way to keep things running. The Amish know a thing or two about making the most of nature, and wind power fits perfectly into their way of life. In areas with steady breezes, you'll spot wind turbines spinning quietly over Amish farmlands. They aren't giant, high-tech ones like you'd find in a wind farm, but smaller, simpler versions. These humble turbines power water pumps, charge batteries, or even keep the lights running for a barn dance, all without needing to plug into the grid. It's a clever system, really. Wind energy now makes up about 8% of the U.S. electricity supply, but the Amish treat it more like a dependable friend than a flashy trend. And here's the thing. They don't just rely on wind when it's gusty, they pair it with other methods to ensure they've got energy when needed. Kind of like packing a raincoat on a picnic just in case. There's something oddly charming about the idea of wind being both their power source and occasional nuisance. You'd think hats would go flying every time a gust blows through, but no. They've mastered the art of keeping them snug, a skill many of us could use on a windy day. It's almost like the wind knows better than to mess with Amish practicality. Once, during a road trip through the Midwest, I drove by a farm and saw a small wind turbine turning lazily in the afternoon breeze. It wasn't loud or showy, just quietly doing its job. In that moment, it hit me how simple solutions often outshine our complicated ones. While we stress over smart grids and rising utility bills, the Amish keep things spinning smoothly with just a little wind and some good planning. But when the wind dies down, that's when the streams and rivers start to take over, powering the next season of Amish life in ways even more clever. When a stream runs through an Amish community, it's not just water splashing over rocks, it's opportunity flowing right by. The Amish, ever resourceful, harness the gentle force of moving water to generate power, with small-scale hydropower systems quietly doing their thing. Unlike those towering dams that disrupt entire ecosystems, these setups are humble and simple, just like the people using them. A rotating wheel, a bit of clever engineering, and voila, you've got energy without a single spark of electricity. The whole process feels a bit like borrowing power from nature without taking too much, which is right up the Amish alley. A friend once invited me on a river kayaking trip, which sounded peaceful until I realized the river was moving at what felt like NASCAR speed. We spent more time dodging rocks than admiring the scenery, and by the end of it, I had newfound respect for water's relentless energy. That same relentless flow is what the Amish quietly tap into, without the drama of kayaks flipping or paddles flying. A wheel placed in the right spot spins consistently, converting the river's movement into useful power. And the beauty of it? No gas, no coal, no humming electrical lines overhead, just the soothing sound of water doing its job. Hydropower also works well because it's reliable. Solar panels might sulk under a blanket of clouds, and wind turbines have days when they're just oversized weather vanes. But streams, they keep flowing, rain or shine. Even when everything else pauses for a season, these little hydro setups just keep churning along, ensuring that homes stay warm, tools stay running, and life keeps moving at its quiet, deliberate pace. The Amish, it seems, have figured out that energy doesn't have to come with a lot of noise and hassle. If there's one thing to appreciate about hydropower, it's how perfectly it mirrors Amish life. Steady, sustainable, and free from unnecessary complexity. When you hear fuel, your mind probably jumps to gas stations and expensive fill-ups. But for the Amish, fuel can come from a far humbler and smellier source. The only product we'll ever promote on our channel is a book by Claude Davis, a veteran prepper, about 126 superfoods and preservation methods from crisis times like the Great Depression and wartime that are impossible to find elsewhere. We decided to promote his book because we are the last generation able to share these techniques and superfoods to our children or grandchildren. It would be a shame to see this information about highly nutritious foods and preservation methods to survive crises disappear. You can also find a book about herbal remedies from Nicole Apelian on their store. If you're watching this on TV, you can look up our channel, Frugal Solutions, on your phone or tablet and find the books by clicking the link in our channel description or any other video description. Waste. Yes, we're talking about biogas, where manure and organic leftovers get transformed into energy. It's like alchemy, except instead of gold, the magic produces a gas that powers lights, stoves, and more. While most folks are busy complaining about rising utility bills, the Amish are out there turning yesterday's scraps into tomorrow's power. It's waste management with a twist, and without the stink you'd expect. I'll admit, the first time I tried composting, I nearly gave up after a week. Between fruit flies swarming my banana peels and my neighbor insisting I'd accidentally created a science experiment, I thought maybe I'm not cut out for this eco-life. The Amish, on the other hand, take things to another level with biogas systems. They carefully manage organic waste, manure, food scraps, even old hay, and let nature break it down in sealed containers. As bacteria do their thing, the byproduct is methane gas, ready to use as energy. And let me tell you, knowing your kitchen stove is powered by yesterday's lunch gives a new appreciation for leftovers. Biogas isn't just practical, it's efficient. A small-scale system can turn a few cows' worth of manure into enough energy to light up an entire home. And it's not just cows pulling their weight here. Every bit of biodegradable waste has a role to play. The environmental benefits are also hard to ignore. Instead of methane escaping into the atmosphere and adding to global warming, the Amish capture it and put it to good use. That's one less cow fart out in the wild. And in this case, every little bit helps. There's also a surprising elegance to how these systems operate. The Amish embrace simplicity, and biogas fits right in. No complex machinery or special chemicals, just nature, patience, and a healthy respect for manure. It's a method that solves multiple problems at once, reducing waste, cutting down energy costs, and keeping life on the farm running smoothly. As they say, waste not, want not. And in the Amish world, even the most unglamorous things have value. Once biogas is up and running, it quietly hums in the background, keeping homes warm and lamps burning. While city dwellers fret about blackouts and grid failures, the Amish have peace of mind knowing their power is bubbling away, literally. It's not flashy, but it works. And when you think about it, isn't that the whole point? The Amish often utilize thermal mass techniques, which involve using materials with high thermal mass like stone, brick, or concrete in their home construction. These materials absorb heat during the day and release it slowly when temperatures drop, helping to keep homes warm without relying on traditional heating systems. In the colder months, sunlight streaming through south-facing windows warms up the thermal mass, which then radiates that heat throughout the day and into the night. This is especially effective in the Amish way of life, where homes are often built to take advantage of natural sunlight and airflow. It's like having a giant cozy blanket that keeps the home warm, without the need for constantly stoking a fire or cranking up the heat. For those who might think this sounds a bit too simple, consider this. Many modern energy-efficient homes also employ similar techniques. It's a reminder that sometimes going back to basics and utilizing age-old methods can be just as effective and often more sustainable than the latest gadgets on the market. Imagine the savings on heating bills, all while snuggling up in a naturally warm home during those chilly evenings. The Amish often make use of passive solar heating to naturally warm their homes using the sun's energy. This method involves strategically designing and positioning homes to maximize sunlight exposure, especially in winter. For example, large south-facing windows allow sunlight to enter and heat the interior during the day, while thick walls or thermal mass materials, like stone or concrete, store that heat, releasing it slowly throughout the night. In the morning, these homes might be filled with the warm glow of the sun, creating a cozy atmosphere without the need for traditional heating systems. It's a practical approach that relies on nature's rhythms. Imagine walking into a home that feels like a warm hug, all thanks to thoughtful design and the sun's generosity. This method not only cuts down on heating costs, but also reduces reliance on fossil fuels or other energy sources. It's a sustainable solution that resonates with the Amish philosophy of living in harmony with nature. Plus, it encourages us to rethink how we can design our spaces to be more energy efficient, using the gifts of the environment rather than fighting against them. The Amish often use greenhouses not just for growing plants, but also as a clever way to retain heat for their homes. These structures trap sunlight during the day, creating a warmer microclimate. By connecting a greenhouse to their home, they can funnel that heat inside, providing a natural heating source. During sunny days, the greenhouse absorbs heat from the sun and stores it in the soil and plant materials. When the sun sets and temperatures drop, the stored heat is gradually released into the adjoining home. This method is especially beneficial during the transition seasons of spring and fall, helping to maintain a comfortable temperature without using conventional heating methods. Not only do greenhouses help in heating the home, but they also allow for year-round gardening, providing fresh vegetables even in winter. It's a win-win. Plus, there's something charming about enjoying a cup of warm herbal tea in a cozy room warmed by the sun's rays, knowing that the plants outside are working hard to keep your home toasty. The Amish often employ straw bales as a natural insulation method in their homes. Straw bales are excellent at trapping air, which helps to keep homes warm in the winter and cool in the summer. The thick walls made from straw bales provide a unique advantage in regulating indoor temperatures without relying on modern heating or cooling systems. When building with straw bales, the Amish typically use them as part of the wall structure, creating a cozy environment. This method not only conserves energy, but also utilizes readily available materials that are often considered waste byproducts from local farms. It's a sustainable practice that aligns perfectly with the Amish values of simplicity and self-sufficiency. In the colder months, straw bale insulation helps retain heat, making it easier to keep the home warm with minimal energy use. And during hot summer days, the thick walls keep the interior pleasantly cool. It's like having a natural air conditioner without the hum of a motor. Plus, who wouldn't want to brag about living in a home that's both eco-friendly and feels like a snug hug from nature? As much as we love our gadgets, those smart home systems that can dim the lights, brew coffee, and unlock the front door without us lifting a finger, there's something refreshing about the Amish way of life. Their homes run on ingenuity, not apps, and their energy sources don't rely on wires snaking through every wall. It's a lifestyle rooted in simplicity, yet it offers a kind of freedom that's hard to find in the modern world. While the rest of us panic when the Wi-Fi goes out, the Amish calmly carry on, their homes powered by the sun, wind, wood, water, and even a bit of cow manure. Maybe there's a lesson in that. We don't need to swap our electric appliances for biogas generators overnight, but small changes can go a long way. Install a solar panel or two, try heating your home with a wood-burning stove one winter, or start collecting rainwater. You might be surprised at how much less dependent you become on the power grid and how satisfying it feels to know you're living a little lighter on the planet. And who knows, maybe the next time there's a blackout, instead of scrambling to find candles or charging your phone in the car, you'll just sit back and enjoy the quiet. After all, the Amish know something we're only just starting to rediscover. Life doesn't need to be plugged in to be fully lived.